Hey, it's Warren here again with Copeland Small Engine Repair. Today I've got a Craftsman chainsaw on my workbench, and no matter what you did to this thing, it just would not run right. You could adjust the carburetor all day, and it'd run right for a minute, then run like crap, then it would idle, then it would die if you try to let it idle. It would just drive you crazy. So when they do that, I get my pressure and vacuum tester out, this little device right here, and you have to loosen the carburetor and put a piece of gasket material between the carburetor and the intake block and seal off the intake port. You take a piece of gasket material and put behind the muffler and seal off the exhaust port because you want this thing completely airtight. Then I got a fitting screwed into the spark plug hole with a hose going to my pressure tester. And what I did, I pulled a vacuum on the crankcase and it held vacuum. But when I put pressure into the crankcase, it would not hold pressure. I pump it up just like this. And if you watch the needle, you can see it's moving. It's not holding pressure. So that tells me we have a leak. And the first place I look for a leak when it does this is the crank seals. The first one I do, I pull the flywheel off and I check the one on the flywheel side. But you can definitely see it's got a leak there. Okay, so now that I know it has a leak, I need to test for the leak. I need to find it so I can point at it for the customer and tell them there's your problem. So what I do now, I disconnect my pressure vacuum tester. I take my air hose from my air compressor, and before you plug this into the chainsaw hose, you want to turn the regulator on your air compressor way down. You don't want to plug this into that saw with 120 psi on it, because if the crank seals are good, you're going to blow them out. So I turn it down to where it's got probably 5 to 8 psi. I mean, very little. So then I come back over and I plug my air compressor straight into the saw that's going into the cylinder. Now I have a constant air source going into the crankcase on this saw. And I can take some soapy water and spray on this crank seal. And there's my air leak right there. That's why the saw won't run right. That's why no matter how much you adjust the carburetor, it won't straighten out. That's why it won't idle. That little air leak right there causes all kinds of havoc. Because on a 2-cycle piece of equipment like chainsaws and weed eaters, the air fuel mixture is mixed in the crankcase. And if it's got an air leak, you're done. It's going to drive you crazy trying to get the thing to run right. But it's pretty significant air leak right there. But if you don't have one of these vacuum pressure testers, you need to get one and learn how to use it if you're a small engine repair shop. I got this one on eBay for about $40, probably 5 or 6 years ago. And it works as good today as the day I bought it. One thing you don't want to do is get any kind of liquid in these things. People buy them all the time to do brake jobs and stuff, and they get brake fluid inside them and it ruins the seals, or they do something with it to get gas in it. I always make sure I don't get a drop of liquid anything in this thing, and it still works great. But anyway, this saw, and this is a cheap Craftsman saw, parts and labor to replace the crank seals. I don't know if it'd be worth it. But anyway, thanks for watching.